Nobody understands cricket. You gotta know what a crumpet is to understand cricket. I'll teach you.
Let's go.
Hello once again, my chickadees. Game & Chick is back again with another review. Before we get started, I'd like to give a big thank you to the kind folks over at Dotemu and Tribute Games for providing me with a review copy of the game to make this review possible. Thank you so much. So now with that having been said, let's go! Opening thoughts. Hello, my chickadees. Before we dive into the full review of Shredder's Revenge, I'd like to give a brief story on my history with this franchise, as TMNT had a big impact on my childhood growing up. You can skip this section if you aren't interested in hearing it, and that's super okay, but in my opinion, in order to move forward, we must first go back.
It's time to go back.
It has now been over 30 years since the crime-fighting brothers made their way onto the comic book scene, video games, music, lunchboxes, backpacks, you get the idea. Whether you've been a fan of the Ninja Turtles since the 1980s or any of the recent shows, there's still one thing that holds true. You're most likely addicted to pizza. No joke. I legit think the Ninja Turtles are the reason I even like pizza to this day. Growing up as a kid in the 90s, which had iconic characters like Mario and Sonic, there were the Ninja Turtles. 4 brothers, each with distinct personalities and traits that made them unique or relatable to nearly every type of person out there. My own exposure came from 2 places initially, the 80s cartoon and the NES titles, which unfortunately means the original TMNT games on NES too. Don't get me wrong, by itself it's a pretty decent game, but man, as a kid growing up, why the heck did it have to be so hard? Seriously, this game whipped my butt to hell and back. It was a Shredder type of annihilation and I stood no chance. I remember sitting on this big fluffy armchair we had in what we called the game room when I was a kid, and spent hours mashing buttons on my NES controller while playing titles like TMNT 2 Arcade. It was just me, my juice I was drinking, and the Ninja Turtles. What could be better than that? Well, more Ninja Turtles, obviously. Duh! People who weren't born in the late 80s or 90s can't really get and see what a kid growing up at that time went through. Sort of like the commercial, parents can't see why kids love Cinnamon Toast Crunch, except inserting Ninja Turtles, and it's the same concept really. Being a huge fan of the Ninja Turtles growing up, we got unbelievably spoiled. Between the 1980s cartoon and the 1990 movie trilogy, with the original movie absolutely flooring us with a darker and more adult style of storytelling of Ninja Turtles, while at the same time keeping intact the core aspects of why we love the Ninja Turtles in general. It was darker, sure, but it still kept the lighthearted friends till the end, love and respect your family core family values to it. It's an absolute classic, and to this day, has a gigantic list of memorable quotes that we all screamed as a kid. Like, God, I love being a turtle, or Cowabunga! Heck, the original movie was also responsible for probably one of the most heartwarming scenes of all Turtle media too, when Master Splinter is speaking to his sons through meditation after he's been captured by Shredder and the Foot. Seriously, it's a real tearjerker.
I am proud of you, my sons. Tonight you have learned the final and greatest truth of the ninja. That ultimate mastery comes, not of the body, but from your wallet. You have taken the ancient wisdom of the ninja, and never paid full price for a late pizza. I am very proud of all of you. I have left $20 on the kitchen counter for a pan pizza. I love you all, my sons.
What? That's not how it went? Alright, my bad. The first TMNT movie wasn't the only form of media to make an impact on my life either, because Secret of the Ooze just took it a step further with its wackiness and overall cheese factor, and that was not a bad thing at all. If we're going to be honest, Secret of the Ooze is more in line with the tone of the 80s show than the original movie was. And as a kid, and even till this day, still gets quite a chuckle out of me with its silly humor, like the opening mall shop scene with turtles using non-traditional weapons, which made me always want to fight someone with sausage links, making me get addicted to throwing poppers on the ground and saying, "Ninja vanish!" Dancing extremely cringe in my living room to Vanilla Ice's Go Ninja Go, because I had finally memorized the dance the turtles were doing and having my parents film it, which I hope never gets released and stays in a vault forever. The movie also introduced two imposters who we thought were going to be live-action Bebop and Rocksteady, but instead it was Toka and Razar? What the hell? Who are these losers? That was my initial thought, but they ended up being super awesome and I love them anyways. Especially their multiple fights against the turtles themselves, and their little squeals when they would get hurt. Classic. I love it. But not everything was as glorious for the turtles, like the cartoon, the video games, and the first two movies. Oh no. There were several dark times at that time that did make us shake our heads, but ultimately nowadays, we appreciate. Well, to an extent. If you guessed that I was going to talk about the third Ninja Turtle movie, then you're smart as Baxter Stockman because you're absolutely correct. But it won't be the only thing we talk about. I warn you now, it will involve coming out of our shells, music, and kazoos. Don't get it? You will. The third Ninja Turtle to me has to be one of the biggest letdowns to me as a Turtle fan, mostly because of my own expectations I had for it as a kid. Coming off the amazing and funny two first movies, when I heard that there was a third Ninja Turtle movie, and judging by the trailer it involved time travel, my little kid brain immediately thought it was going to be an adaptation of Turtles in Time, which I had been playing on the Super Nintendo, and it couldn't be further from the truth. We got really bad actor suits, terrible dialogue and voice chains for Splinter, who I don't think was even fully built at this point because we only ever see half his body in the entire movie. A generic evil white man who dies just as a generic death and defies the laws of physics when he dies. Seriously, you remember that scene, guys? The water literally implodes and it doesn't splash. That's just lazy as heck. I wish the creator's swings would have broken like it did for Casey Jones, so they would have fallen on their butts and got themselves into gear. This movie is so bad, and yet, gosh dang it, I can't help but think back on it as I watch it nowadays and appreciate its badness as actual charm, and classify it as a so bad it's good movie. It's the black sheep of the franchise, but overall still enjoyable, to an extent. Movies and TV shows aside, which honestly are the most talked about memories for others, but me, it goes way beyond even those iconic items, and takes me back to the days of going to Pizza Hut during their TMNT promotion. If you ordered a Turtle Pan pizza, you would receive a kazoo and a cassette tape of the entire soundtrack from the Coming Out of Our Shells tour. Never heard of Coming Out of Our Shells tour? Oh man. During the height of popularity of the Ninja Turtles, companies attempted to capitalize off of that and milk the franchise any way possible. And this big brain idea happened to be a live-action stage show, where the Ninja Turtles, April, Splinter, and Shredder would act out a stage play and perform musical numbers. Yes, you heard me right. Shredder sings. Out of all the Ninja Turtle content out there, this has to be one of the strangest things I have ever seen, other than the Power Rangers crossover, that is. You had turtles singing about surfing, how they love to play instruments and sing, Shredder's evil plot being about destroying all the music in the world, and then singing about not liking music? What? Then you have Splinter singing about skipping stones, only his voice sounds like someone who's been lost in the damn desert for 2 weeks without water.
It's smooth and flat inside my hand. I just wanna ride it. As I set it free, I'm standing. Keep on, skipping stones.
Seriously, the acting, the cringe, the kids interacting with the show, God, it was so bad. I was totally jealous. I wanted to go so badly, but my parents never took me. I'll have deep emotional scars for life. But on the bright side, I still have my VHS tape of the entire show, so I guess that's something. And I know nearly every song on the album by heart too, like Coming Out of Our Shells, Pizza Power, Tubing, and even the rap song Cowabunga. I love it. One of the weirdest things to come out of the franchise, sure, but still holds a special place in my freaky little heart. Now, I could go on and on about my history with the Turtles that extends to the awesome 2003 series, the great 2007 animated movie, the Michael Bay movies, well, mainly the second one, because it had everything I wanted the original movie trilogy to have with live-action Bebop, Rocksteady, and Krang, so for that, it was enjoyable as heck. Hell, I could even tell you the funny story about how at my old house growing up, when my parents were moving the furniture during our move, they found my trench coat Donatello action figure tied and strung up. Yeah, I'm not sure where my mind was with that one, but you get the idea by now. TMNT was a huge part of my childhood, and still is to this day. So when I got word that I'd be able to review the next entry into the Beat 'em Up saga, I was giddy with joy. So now let's prepare to kick old can opener's butt again and jump into Shredder's Revenge.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Heroes in a half shell. Turtle power. They're the world's most fearsome fighting team.
We're really hip.
Ninja Turtles. They're heroes in the half shell. And they're green.
Hey, get a grip.
Turtles. When the evil Shredder attacks, these turtle boys don't cut 'em no slack. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Splinter taught them to be ninja teens.
He's a radical rat.
Leonardo leads, Donatello does machines.
That's a fact, Jack.
Raphael is cool but rude.
Give me a break.
Michelangelo is a party dude. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Heroes in a half shell. Turtle power.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is a classic beat-em-up title that is developed by Tribute Games and published by Dotemu. With the gaming market currently thriving off nostalgia, Tribute Games attempts to feed into our hunger for more by bringing the good old Green Boys back into the mix with another beat-em-up adventure to rekindle those fond memories of old. But do they succeed in awakening that feeling inside of us? Or is it one of those franchises that should have been kept to just that, our memories? Only one way to find out, so go Ninja go! Story. With Bebop and Rocksteady assaulting Channel 6 and stealing super gnarly devices to support Krang and Shredder's latest twisted plan, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge sees the Turtles battling across a righteous range of timeless TMNT locations. From Manhattan and Coney Island to city rooftops and dank sewers, help the fearsome foursome trounce foot soldiers, Triceraton warriors, and rock troops all the way to Dimension X. Gameplay. Oh man, where do we even start with this bad boy? There's so much to cover. So much even that I actually got surprised during my initial playthrough of the game. I was thinking to myself, oh, this one should be a short and fast one to cover, no biggie. But oh, pizza lords, I was wrong. Between trying to explain my own personal history with the Ninja Turtles and trying to describe this title in ways that both make sense, but also at the same time try to list off all the reasons why this game ended up the way it did, while at the same time try to write about any homages to the past Turtle shows or movies, it wound up more difficult than I expected. So I know, I need to stop rambling on and just get on with it, so that I don't annoy you guys like Mikey was annoyed when waiting for the pizza delivery man. So we'll bask in all this nostalgia glory later and reflect some other time, because it's finally time to dive into the action. Upon booting up your game, you'll be given multiple options. One of those options being story mode, which is self-explanatory really. It's your story mode that you get to play through that is complete with small cutscenes that harken back to the days of TMNT2 Arcade. If you're new to beat 'em ups, or just want a way more chill time, this would be the best option to start with. The reason is because in story mode, the game mode is way more lenient on you with more lives at your disposal, downtime between levels as you explore the overworld map, that to me seems to be an homage to the original TMNT games on NES, with its top-down perspective, as well as side content to take part in for cameo characters, which I will get into with my extra stuff section here in a bit. If the easiness of story mode isn't really your thing, and you're more of a veteran of beat-em-ups, then arcade mode is your way to go, due to less hand-holding, more chances of game over, stingier with extra lives, and all the filler cut out with no overworld map and just straight to the point, level after level. It's a bit of a challenge, that's for sure, but beating it will make you feel like Mikey showing off his nunchuck skills to the foot, and then looking down on myself and others who prefer story mode and yell to us,
Babies! There are babies!
"We're sorry we let you down, but watch your back, or we'll put you to the streets, or roof like Rav." So I know you're over there wondering, okay fine, we get it. The two modes differ. But how does it play? How many levels? How long is it? Okay, we're getting to it. When you hop into the story mode and as you progress through the game, you will be able to take part in 16 different levels, with each level in the game being awesome in their own variety. No one level feels the same in an art, design, or function standpoint. with each level's distinction from one another varying between fighting in the Channel 6 building, fighting in the back streets and alleyways of New York, speeding down the highway on your skateboard when the game changes from straight-up beat-em-up to a fast-paced racing level on the ground and in the air, nasty sewer area that just makes me think that the meatball pizza monsters are gonna come out and jump at me, take on foot in the mall without having to save stupid-faced Kano's butt again, and even travel to Dimension X where you partake in a battle to stop the Technodrome. There's just so many different levels and designs to name that it would take me forever just to name them all, and fall in the line of being a huge spoiler, so we should refrain from that. Fighting your way through each of these levels is also an extremely entertaining treat, with the great selection of baddies you will come across that you have either seen in past games from TMNT2 Arcade, Turtles in Time, or even brand new ones not seen before. As you complete each level, pushing through each wave of enemies in your roughly 2 to 2.5 hour playthrough on both arcade and story, you will encounter purple classic foot soldiers who routinely attack you with melee attacks, and occasionally will use shields to block your attacks. Ninjas in black suits that throw kunai at you, who are really freaking annoying. So annoying, in fact, that I want to slam them upside their head with a cricket bat, or give them the Master Tatsu treatment and show them how I play golf. Okay, I'll stop rambling about them, even if they are little turds, because dwelling on them would also be a disservice to other enemy types, like motorcycle-riding foot soldiers, Mouser bots that range in size, that start off really small and ultimately end up becoming human-sized, flying bee and ant-like bots that shoot lasers at you and later on, even drop bombs on you. Heck, there's even super classic enemy types like rock soldiers from Dimension X and the Triceratons. Talk about awesome! No? Okay then, righteous! Still no? Bossa Nova?
Yeah? Bossa Nova?
Chevy Nova? Excellent!
Even though the game has great level design, variety, and a good mix of enemies, we're still missing one important factor here, aren't we? Yes, the actual dang gameplay. Oh boy, this is when this title starts to get really addicting. This game is more in-depth than the previous Turtles games. Yes, even with it being a routine beat-em-up with melee and your usual jump kicking. However, you can now grapple and either go into melee combo, slam an enemy back and forth like Hulk did to Loki, or toss them up into screen like Turtles in Time by using directional buttons up, down, or right, while pressing square. Alongside your offensive capabilities, you also have more combination of attacks and defense moves at your disposal as well. These being your dive attack when jumping, holding square for a charged attack, using roll when hit or knocked back for a quick recovery roll, use cheer up ability with L1 on your friend to give them some of your energy, hold L1 to revive a downed ally before their pizza meter runs out, R1 to taunt so you can gain energy back to use for super attacks, activate Radical at 3 power meters when power level of your character reaches level 8 to make all your attacks more powerful. Just be wise on what you use your Radical mode on though, because if you use it at a time when no one is around, you just waste it, like the ugly lump of dung you are. Hey, wait a minute, don't get mad at me for saying that.
That was an insult, Leo. Not necessarily, Raph. Did you know that in some countries dung is used as a fuel source?
Oh, well, now that you know about the level design, fighting mechanics, enemy varieties, game length, I say it's time to actually talk about the characters themselves before we finish this puppy up with boss fights and my dislikes I had with my time with this game. Because yes, duh, it's not perfect. Whether you choose story mode or arcade mode, you will be able to choose up to 7 different characters to play as, with each character having their own specific moveset and abilities based off their personality or weapon of choice. The no-brainers, of course, are Mikey, Leo, Raph, and Donnie, while newcomers that are finally playable are Splinter, April, and Casey Jones. Casey being the only character you can unlock after finishing your first playthrough of the game. He's basically just leftovers at this point.
Leftovers.
Each of these 7 playable characters all have their own special move available to them that is activated by pressing triangle when you have at least 1 point on your ninja meter, with up to 4 meters that you are able to stack and create a power boost called Radical that heightens your attack power when your character reaches the correct power level. Leveling up your character isn't actually as useless as Danny in the first TMNT movie or Zack, the wannabe trash kid, who thinks he's a Ninja Turtle from the 80s cartoon. Yeah, it's definitely not that useless. For each level you grind out with your character by obtaining new points, up to 10 points to be exact, gives you new character attacks, such as Mikey being able to have a special jumping ground slam, and a bicycle attack like Liu Kang from Mortal Kombat. Whereas someone like Raph will attack by spinning around like a top, Leo slices in a short burst circle at enemies around him, and characters like Casey Jones powers up like Brawling in Dragon Ball and attacks whatever is in the vicinity around him. This holds true for the remaining characters too, with everyone feeling unique and worth playing as. no one is the weak link this go around. And this is what makes Shredder's Revenge on the level of addicting as TMNT 2 Arcade, Manhattan Project, and Turtles in Time. Not only is the combat just as good as those titles, and in some cases, it might actually be better in a way, due to the nostalgia that plays a factor in each stage or specific aspects that went into the creation of this love letter to the game. Because, let's face it, the developers of this title are just as much of a fanboy and fangirl of TMNT as the Turtles are of April.
I'm in love.
But what makes my statement true? At least in my opinion. Well, for me, it's because that with nearly every stage you play on, it's paying homage to one form of media for the Ninja Turtles, whether it be the 80s cartoon or the 1990s movies. For example, each chapter screen you see between levels is being narrated and animated like Turtles in Time level screens, Baxter Stockman using a hand cannon trick like Turtles in Time, level homages like the New York area being called Big Apple 3 p.m., which is a reference to Big Apple 3 a.m. in Turtles in Time.
Big Apple, 3 p.m.
Big Apple, 3 a.m.
Another cool reference and throwback is the main hub map in story mode, where you can control which level you go to and complete side quests if you wish, which, the overall layout to me, looks like the top-down sections from TMNT on NES, complete even with driving car around the map, which was pretty awesome. Dojo section of the game, where you go to check out completed challenges and things you've unlocked in the game, literally plays the theme song of the Turtle Lair from the 80s cartoon too. There are also returning enemy hazards, like the lasers and machines that shoot ice mist at you and turn you into an ice cube that's seen in previous games. This could go on forever because there's so much substance to the work that was put into it. So much in fact that when you're trying to sit and think of it all, you get as ticked off as Raph after losing to Casey Jones.
Damn!
He's truly a poet. If the enemies, homages, and game mechanics weren't enough to win you over, then sit back because we're about to dive into a game-and-chick first, and dedicate one section of my review entirely to the boss fights. Yep, you heard me right. So if you don't want to know some of the boss fights, then I suggest moving on to the extra stuff section because things will get a little bit spoilery. Don't worry though, I won't spoil any of the major boss fights. So I don't want to hear your squeaky little crank voice saying,
Ah, Game & Chick, you imbecile! You ruined it! You ruined everything!
boss fights. Like in most games I play, from beat-em-ups, action games, and shooters, everything for me will always come down to boss fights. I love me some good boss fights, and Shredder's Revenge has these in droves, with each one you encounter either increasing in difficulty, offering a cool throwback, or being more hectic than the last. In Shredder's Revenge, you have classic boss fights against characters like Bebop and Rocksteady, whose attack patterns change with every interaction with them, with some of the fights actually being pretty hard. Well, either that or I'm just trash like Donnie's jokes in the third TMNT movie.
Help, I'm a turtle and I can't get up.
But they aren't the only ones who have great boss fights. Oh, heck no. You also have characters like Baxter Stockman, in fly form, who uses attacks from Turtles in Time with his gun that shoots in the shape of a hand, Wingnut, who you fight in the air that uses fast dashing attacks, Tempestra from the 80s cartoon that summons movie villains like Toka and Razar, with Razar actually burping and leaving a green nasty cloud, which actually made me fangirl out a bit. What, you find that weird? Okay, I kind of see how it would be weird. Stinky burping making me happy. But the reason it does is because it's in reference to the Secret of the Ooze, where the turtles give Toka and Razar upset stomachs in order to weaken them, and they burp and get sick. It's an awesome throwback. Other cool moments that are nods to the previous games includes your first fight against Shredder, where he duplicates himself into fake copies, like in TMNT 2 Arcade, and fights against Chrome Dome that is actually a callback to the Shredder boss fight from Turtles in Time that has you throw your enemy into the screen. But okay, I can gush forever on this. But I don't want to ruin all the boss fights in the game, because they're all just so damn good. Especially the boss fights near the end of the game, which I'll just say, if you've seen Ghostbusters 2, you'll get a kick out of it. Extra stuff. When you're done with the game's main story or arcade mode, you can still partake in extra content that will surely give you a bit more time with the game. As you play through each mission in story mode, there will be objects like doors, trash cans, or other things that are in your way to destroy. And each one of these potentially giving you a chance to unlock characters like Punk Frogs, who I thought were the Battletoads growing up, the Neutrinos, Irma, Vernon, Channel 6 boss Vern Thompson, etc. Finding these characters will unlock special side missions, such as collecting 5 of Irma's secret diaries, 3 newspapers for Byrne, 5 VHS tapes for Vernon, 8 bugs for the Punk Frogs, 3 crystal shards for the Neutrinos, and so on, with each of their completed missions rewarding you anywhere from 75 to 100 plus points towards your character's level. points? That's it, you say? What? You were expecting maybe the, Addams Family? Dang it, Donnie. Why are your worst jokes the main ones I remember? But back on topic, that's not all either. Should you even complete all the requests, your fun is still not over. Each level in the game, yes, all 16, all have their individual challenges to partake in, and none of them are the same. These challenges ranging from defeat 4-foot soldiers using traps, defeat 3 enemies using super attacks, perform a specific amount of throw attacks, and even extremely harder ones like wanting you to try and take no damage in a level at all, and never using a special attack. With all of these spread throughout 16 levels, it boosts your playtime immensely. But we're still not done with all the content. Holy crap, right? Rest in peace to my free time while making this because we're still going. Even when you've completed your challenges and found all collectibles, you can still take on the task of leveling your favorite character to their max level of 10. That's 7 potential characters to max out. But why would you do this exactly? Well, simple. Each level you unlock will also grant you either a new attack, access to a new ninja meter, add extra hit points, an extra life and access to radical mode, making your attack stronger. To be able to max everyone out, you're guaranteed to have to do multiple playthroughs, but it's so worth it. By the time you complete that task, you will be so good at the game that even you too will be called a radical rat, just like Master Splinter. Downsides. Uh-oh, the dreaded dislikes and downsides section. You knew it was coming, but don't worry. My gripes aren't as nitpicky or cringe as Irma when she sims for the robot named Rags. We won't be that bad, of course, but truthful. They aren't major, so don't get scared or mad, people. My first gripe has to do with the boss fights. While the boss fights are really fun, I feel we could have done with more variety. Instead of fighting Bebop and Rocksteady roughly 4 times, with some of them being the same attack patterns, but just switched up with the double team, you could have replaced a few fights with other baddies, like Mutagen Man, or even an alternate version of the Pizza Monsters. Sure, we had Pizza Monster variations that come from the sand with pizza slices on their head, but I would have liked a cool boss fight. Heck, where was Screwloose? We had Wingnut, but no partner Screwloose. Even though we have duo fights in the game, like Round Chuck and Dirtbag, and Tuka and Razar. Missed opportunity for sure. You could have even thrown in Muckman in the sewer area while you're at it. The 80s cartoon has so many characters that it was just a shame not to see more of them. Another gripe I had was in relation to connection issues. Now, disclaimer, this was on a review copy before the official game went live, so there's obviously kinks without a day 1 update, so keep that in mind. However, several times in the mall level, myself and my boyfriend ran into connection issues where the game would either freeze, lag, or boot him from the room, causing him to have to restart multiple times and then be re-invited. Finally, my last gripe is that the rewards for completing tasks could be better. They usually just give you points for your character, but I wish there could be a little more to it, like concept art either for this game, 80s TV show, or even from the original movie trilogy. Like for instance, they could have done digital comic rewards from the original run series of the TMNT comics to read like other games have done as unlockables in the past. But I realize that all that sort of stuff takes more money for the licensing, but I just wish there was a tiny bit more incentive. Overall, at the end of the day, Shredder's Revenge turned out even better than I thought it would. I fully expected it to be an enjoyable experience, sure, but I was not expecting the gameplay mechanics to be as in-depth as they were. The amount of details and animations to each character's model, and the environments, the massive amount of homages sprinkled in the game, the original voice actors for every original turtle from the 80s series. Man, it had me grinning to the point where I looked like the crappy suit design from TMNT 3. I guess that means that I was nightmare-inducing? Oops. Sure, it has some downsides with boss variety, game length of 2.5 hours, or a few connection issues, but it still does not stop Tribute Games and the 4 Turtle brothers from coming out of their shells and giving us the best turtle experience we have had since the days of Turtles in Time. So with that having been said, my verdict is clear. Game & Chick says bye now.
Mud wrestling is definitely a spectator sport.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching! I really hope you enjoyed that review, and I look forward to bringing more to you in the coming future. For new people, feel free to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like or share, and for people already subscribed, make sure to hit that notification bell so that you do not miss out on any future content upload. Also, feel free to click on my other reviews linked above, because they're kinda cool too. So, give them a look! Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch all you chickadees on the next one.
Quick!